What's up, Archons? I'm Flightless Pheasant, and as promised today, we are going to go through the alternative format guide. But before we do that, I did make one other promise, and that's that we were going to go through the digital schedule for Portland. So we'll start with the digital schedule for Portland, then we'll get into the alternate format guide. We're going to read the whole thing together, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and see if we can understand everything. If we have any trouble with anything, I'll yak about it, because that's what we do here. Alright, so let's start with the Portland schedule, because the link for this was broken earlier, and now it's fixed, and I decided to go through it, so here we are. Vault Tour 2026 Portland is a packed event with many activities for Keyforge enthusiasts to enjoy. Ghost Galaxy has created this digital schedule, so attendees can access more detailed information regarding registration rounds, lunch, and end times for each of our official activities. Yeah, so this change to Swiss and the way the new side formats work is going to affect some stuff, I'm pretty sure. So let's go through it and figure it out. Treat this guide as a primary source of information across the entire event. This document contains the official schedule for each official Vault Tour 2026 Portland activity. Note, times are subject to change from the digital schedule based on event conditions, but should be presumed accurate unless otherwise stated by Ghost Galaxy. Listen closely to all announcements. If any announcement by a Ghost Galaxy representative contradicts this guide, the announcement takes precedence. All right. So, Guardian Games is going to be the host for their second Vault Tour. Guardian Games was a great space. It looks like it used to be a warehouse. It's real big and like a high ceiling. It's super cool. It's located in the heart of downtown Portland. It is a unique, large format game store that has featured many high-profile regional and national championship events for a number of games. We're happy to include, that includes Keyforge. Events, so on Friday they'll start at 11, and on Saturday and Sunday it'll be 10. Looks like they're planning on wrapping up a little bit early on Sunday. That's pretty standard. Okay, so on Friday we have the Sealed Qualifier. Sealed format competitive tournament using Draconian measures. Players will receive the deck required for play upon registration to the tournament. This tournament qualifies first and second place finishers for the World's Championship. There will be no roll downs this time because this is the first qualifier. So nobody else has qualified yet, so no roll downs. Registration at 11. Deck building at 11:30. And first round at 12:05. They're expecting to do lunch at 2, so I would imagine that's after 2 or 3 rounds. 2-3 rounds, maybe? 2 rounds. And then after lunch, they'll do round 3. They'll keep doing as many rounds as they need to until 8. And then they'll try to do the best of 8. And then be done at 9. Okay, so Archon Quick Forge, a side tournament featuring fast-paced games where players try to forge a single key faster than their opponent. Oh, there you go. It's best of 1 key. Requires an additional entry fee of 1 sealed Draconian measures deck. Registration's at 3 p.m., so that'll be after lunch. Round 1's paired at 4. Swiss rounds start at 4:05. And they'll end the tournament also at 9. Okay, cool. Seems doable. I wonder if they're going to be doing the pairings through their software, the name of which I'm forgetting right now. Okay, let's look at Saturday. Archon and Alliance qualifiers. These tournaments will run simultaneously. These tournaments qualify first and second place for Worlds. Starts at registration at 10. Round 1's paired at 10:30. Lunch at 12:30, so that'll be 2 rounds. Lunch ends and they'll pair round 3 and do as many additional rounds as they need to. And the tournament will end at 6:30. Okay, that's a little earlier, but I guess we did start a little earlier, so it might be fine. And then they'll be doing Sealed Adaptive, a side tournament that allows either player to bid chains for the right to play either of the decks brought to the match. Requires an additional entry fee of a sealed Draconian measures deck. Players will also need to purchase a sealed deck from a tournament legal Keyforge set. Oh, so we can use anything. Okay, wild. I don't know if I would have done that. I probably would have kept it all one set for a variety of reasons. Anyway, registration's at 3:30, so they're doing it again after lunch. Round 1 will be paired at 4. Swiss begins at 4:05. Tournament ends at 9. Yeah, I think I for sure would have made the Sealed Adaptive. Everybody plays the same set. Yeah, I understand, I think, why they didn't. It's so that you can bring your own thing if you want to bring your own thing, so you don't have to buy something there. Still think it might be a mistake, because the power level between sets is wild. Although I guess it's adaptive, so you're bidding chains, but and then they'll do the Final 4 for Sealed on Saturday. And that'll start at 6:30, and it'll go to 9. Archon and Alliance Top cuts on Sunday will start at 10 for their registration. Players must arrive before 10:30 for a deck check or risk a tournament forfeit. Yep. Deck checks at 10:30. Then we do round 1 at 11 for the top top cuts for Archon and Alliance. There'll also be a pack draft sealed, a side event featuring a drafting phase where players have the chance to craft their perfect Keyforge deck. Both drafting and play will be in 4 to 8 person groups. Okay, and when we look at the alternative format guide, we'll have a better understanding of what all that means. Requires an additional entry fee of 1 sealed Draconian Measures deck. Registration begins at 10, so they're going to be doing this alongside the top cuts. And tournament ends at 2:30, so they're planning on that one going pretty quick. Then they'll do the awards ceremony, which is always cool. Sealed groups are available every day. No official match times are scheduled. One player will act as the organizer and report results. Participation in the Vault Tour Portland starts with registering to the event. Attendees must locate their check-in desk and use the QR code found in their ticket purchase confirmation email to complete their registration. During check-in, participants will receive a badge attached to a Keyforge lanyard, which must be worn at all times during the event. Note, registration to the event is separate from registration to tournaments. After registering for the event, players will visit Tournament HQ for tournament registration. Registering for tournaments, show up, they will open your master vault, they'll scan the thing, they'll also they'll scan your deck QR code. Sealed does not require a deck QR code, Archon does, and for Alliance, you have to make an alliance on the master vault in order for it to work. Okay, so that is the digital schedule for Portland. Now we're going to get into the real meat and potatoes. So this is the Alternative Formats Guide. This came out just a few days ago from Ghost Galaxy, and it's pretty beefy. So we're going to go through it in detail. I have not read the whole thing yet. I've read like pieces of it, but we're going to read the entire thing together. You, me, and Bobby McGee. We're going to go through the whole thing. God, that was dorky as hell. All right, here we go. The Alternative Formats Guide, or AFG, represents a set of rules and guidelines for alternative game formats Ghost Galaxy and its partners may utilize at Keyforge events. The document is meant to be utilized in conjunction with the following documents: the Tournament Rules and Guidelines document and the Master Rulebook document. We know those. We're going to go past that. There are no changes because this is a brand new, so there will be no things. Introduction. This document provides a standardized reference for alternative formats that players may experience in side event activities at Ghost Galaxy events. This allows players the ability to prepare for these activities and understand the framework in which they will be played. Alternative rule sets as outlined in this guide are not meant to serve as substitutes for the official formats used in the main tournaments at official events. Information may be added or removed from the document as needed. Event organizers are welcome to use this guide, but are not required to adhere strictly to it for non-official events or side event activities. Many of the forms of gameplay found in this document originated from the broader Keyforge community and have been included to highlight the innovative ways players have devised to engage with Keyforge. All right, let's do it. So definitions, here we go. We're gonna just plow through the whole thing. If I have questions, I'll ask them, and if you have questions, put them in the comments and we'll talk about them. So here we go. Please find below definitions of various terms used in the Alternative Formats Guide. Additional definitions may be found in the Tournament Rules Guidelines and the Master Rulebook. General definitions. Tournament type. A tournament type defines the rules by which a player obtains their decks, constructs/selects a deck, or how the deck lists are handled. Sealed, Archon, Alliance, and Draft are types. So we know Sealed, Archon, and Alliance. Draft is the new one. We'll have to figure that one out. I'm sure they'll go over it. Tournament methods. A tournament method defines the rules by which games are set up, played, and or won. See tournament methods for a description of different tournament methods. Okay, so that's going to be how do you win. That's Quick Forge, win in one key. Standard is a tournament method which adheres strictly to the Keyforge Master Rulebook. All other tournament methods adjust one or more of the rules of the game. All right, so I think we did have one of our side tournaments that was standard, pack draft standard. So that's going to follow all the normal rules, except that you draft to create the deck. Tournament format, a set of rules by which a tournament is governed. A tournament format is a combination of the tournament type and tournament method. Okay, pretty straightforward. Key cheat. For the purposes of the rules of this document, a key cheat is any card that allows a player to forge a key outside of the forge a key step of a turn. Players should check with a judge if they are unsure if a card falls under this definition. There's a lot of those, and that should be pretty straightforward. We have some draft-specific definitions. A draft, or card draft, is a process by which players select cards from a limited common pool to assemble a deck. A draft format tournament consists of 2 rounds of draft phase, then a tournament using a specified tournament method for gameplay. Alright, draft phase. The draft phase of a tournament is a tournament setup phase where players are assembled into draft groups to procure the cards they will use to create their decks. A draft phase has 2 rounds. A draft round is a period in which players select cards from draft sets and pass the unselected cards to the next player in the group until all cards in the draft sets are selected. A group of players assigned together by the event organizer for the drafting portion of a draft type tournament. Ideally, each draft group consists of an even number of players across all groups if within a larger tournament. Okay, pretty standard stuff for drafting, but there's a lot in there. We're going to kind of go past it, but drafting, we're going to have several people sit together. They're going to pull cards out of a common group of cards, and they're going to hand those cards off to the next person to pull more cards. I'm uncertain how this is going to work in Keyforge, so I'm still trying to figure it out. Draft set. Draft sets are a collection of 30 cards created by a group's draft facilitator at the start of each draft round. These sets consist of cards from house packs bought by the participating players in a draft group. Okay, 30 cards is 5 house pods. Okay. Draft facilitators are judges, organizers, event staff, or players chosen to facilitate the creation of the draft sets from the house packs during the draft phase. Each group should have 1 draft facilitator if possible. Okay, so the draft facilitator is going to pick 5 house pods, put them together, and then we're going to draft out of those 5 house pods. Okay. During a draft, a player will create a pile of face-down cards from their draft set selections. This is their card pool. A player may review their card pool at any time, but must keep cards hidden from other players. All right. A house pack is a curated 15-card pack of cards from a single Keyforge house from a single Keyforge set. Oh. Okay. Okay, so... Wait. Draft set. 30 cards created by the group's draft facilitators. This set consists of cards from house packs brought by the participating players in a draft group. 15-card pack of cards from single. So each draft set, blah blah, it consists of cards from house packs. Okay, so how many house packs? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I have some questions about how house packs are made and how they're put together. 15 cards is a weird number for that because each house pod is 6. So that's 2.5 house pods? Okay. Enhance is a keyword that appears on several Keyforge cards. These cards provide bonus icons to assign during deck, blah, blah, blah. In the draft tournament format, this keyword imparts bonus icons to be utilized for deck construction. What? What? This keyword imparts bonus icons to be utilized for deck. Okay, I'm very, 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 very confused now. We'll get to draft, and when we get to draft, we're going to have to really... Are they going to give us, like, stickers or something? I don't know. All right, let's keep going for now, and we'll come back to that. Tournament types. A tournament type defines the rules by which players obtain their decks, constructs, selects a deck, and how those deck lists are handled. Organizers are free to use unspecified tournament types for non-official tournaments. Official tournaments are sanctioned by Ghost Galaxy and use only the formats specified in the tournament rules and guidelines. Okay, so sealed. Pretty sure we know how it works, but let's read it anyway. Each player uses a number of sealed Keyforge decks from any Keyforge set. A sealed deck is one that is unopened and in its original packaging. Each player must bring the appropriate number of sealed decks or obtain their sealed decks from the event organizer if the decks are being provided. Deck lists. Deck lists are kept hidden from the opposing player during a match, but each player must make their available houses known to their opponent at all times. Players may choose to make their deck list public, but are not required to do so. Players must use their deck lists, must show their deck list to event staff whenever requested. Yeah, that's fine. Variants. Sealed type tournaments may be one of two distinct variants that alter the rules regarding deck selection, deck modification, and the quantity of decks being opened. The variants are as follows. Sealed Alliance. Players open a number of sealed decks up to a maximum set by the event organizer. A player may use fewer sealed decks than the maximum. They will construct one deck to use. Players simultaneously open their sealed decks. Each player constructs a single deck. Yeah, so this is what we normally do in the tournaments. The official tournaments is sealed alliances. And you can deck calibrate between each round. Sealed Archon. Players open a number of sealed decks up to a maximum set by the event organizer. Player may choose to use fewer sealed decks than the maximum. They will select one deck to use. Okay, so this is... You open your decks, you review them quickly, and you pick one that you're going to play. That's fine. Right, we know how that works. That's not big news. Archon. Each player uses one Keyforge deck. The deck must be complete, unmodified, and presented with its original Archon identity card. Deck lists are open information. Players must allow their opponent time to review their deck list prior to the start of the match, and at any time during the match, if requested. During then match. I'm pretty sure it's during the match. Alliance. Each player uses one Alliance deck consisting of 3 house pods from 3 different Keyforge decks. So yeah, Archon and Alliance, those are the same. Draft. Tell me more. Each player uses a quantity of cards outlined by the variant selected by the event organizer. Each player must also bring enough sleeves to sleeve a legal Keyforge deck. Stickers are provided by the event organizer. What are we doing? What is happening here? Deck lists. Because of the nature of draft, fixed deck lists do not exist. Event organizers may require a player to submit a written deck list after the draft phase. In this case, deck lists are kept hidden. Each player must make their available houses known to their opponent at all times. Okay. Draft type tournaments may be one of two distinct variants that alter the rules regarding card acquisition. Pack draft. Players bring or are provided 4 house packs from Keyforge sets allowed by the event organizer. Draft sets will be created from all of the house packs that are brought by all players. Players bring or are provided 4 house packs. Draft sets. See constructing a draft pack for details. Yeah, we're going to have to look at that. And then cube draft. Players draft cards from a curated slate of cards provided by the tournament organizer. Cube drafts may have their own unique ways to create the sets of cards players draft from. Okay. Let's keep going. We'll find something. Tournament methods. A tournament method defines additional gameplay rules and is used in conjunction with a type to establish an overall rules of the format. The following is a non-exhaustive list gameplay rules that could be modified through a method. How a player sets up a game, alternative victory conditions, modifiers to a tournament's match structure, and conditions for elimination from a tournament. Each method presented in this guide specifies the type that Ghost Galaxy recommends for that method. Organizers are free to use unspecified tournament methods or create their own for non-official tournaments. Okay. Standard is we just play the rules as they are, just straight out of the Master Rulebook. We don't have to spend time on that because we know how that works. Adaptive. Adaptive tests a player's ability to quickly assess a deck's strengths and weaknesses in the context of a matchup with another deck. Adaptive allows players to bid chains for the right to play either of the decks brought to the match. They recommend this being sealed, Archon, or Alliance. So the rules on this are setup procedure. Adaptive has an alternative setup procedure from standard tournaments. These procedures may be performed before time in the match has started and are performed in the following order, I assume is what that's supposed to be. First, randomly determine which deck, not which player, will take the first turn. Which deck, okay? Second, reveal the deck lists. Both players take 3 to 5 minutes to assess the deck lists. 3, both players secretly select which deck they would like to play for the match, then reveal their choices to each other simultaneously, okay? 4, if both players chose a different deck, the match begins with the deck that was determined to take the first turn. If both players chose the same deck, they must start bidding. Bidding procedure. Bidding only occurs when both players choose to play the same deck. During this step, players are bidding a number of chains they will start the game with to win the right to play the deck. The maximum bid is 24 chains. Bidding is performed as followed. Bidding opens with the owner of the deck, and their starting bid is set at 0 chains. Okay. The opposing player may raise the bid by bidding a higher number of chains than the previous bid. Bids cannot exceed 24 chains. Alternate the bidding until a player declines to increase the bid. A player who bids the highest wins. What happens if I bid 24? Do I just auto-win? That's not clear here. Starting with chains. If chains were bid, the player who won the bid begins the game with a number of chains equal to the winning bid. These starting chains affect the size of that player's opening hand. One chain will be shed after the opening hand is drawn. If the players take a mulligan, they do not shed a chain for the mulligan, but do draw one fewer cards than they had before the mulligan, as per normal mulligan rules. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Not that complicated. Pretty straightforward. Think it should be fine. It's about deck assessment, which is not my strong suit, but it could be fun. Oubliette. So this is one that's not happening at Portland, but that they're going to go over. So let's take a look at it. Oubliette allows players to ban a house, ensuring they will never have to play against a deck utilizing the house. Players register with 2 decks and a banned house. This challenges players to find the best combination of 6 houses or push their luck with a narrower set of selections. Okay. Additional rule, set restriction. Event organizers should pair Oubliette with a restricted selection of Keyforge sets, or even a limitation on to a single set to increase the impact of banned houses and force strategic choices. Okay. Sure? I guess? I feel like you're going to get a lot of people who are just banning the most powerful house in whatever set, and that's going to be the only choice that people make. So, Gameplay rules. Registration. Players register with exactly 2 decks at the beginning of the tournament. If the tournament is sealed, players must continue to use the registered decks for the entire tournament, even if they opened more than 2 decks. Okay, so you can't swap them out. Players will specify during registration which house they have chosen to ban. This selection cannot be modified and will remain the same throughout the tournament. Okay? Excuse me. Setup procedure. Oubliette has an alternative setup procedure from standard tournaments. These procedures are performed in order as follows. 1. Both players simultaneously reveal which house they have chosen to ban. Decks that contain a house banned by either player may not be played. Decks that contain a house banned by either player. Oh, okay. Damn. So you're also going to affect yourself? Wow. 2, both players secretly select which of their decks they would like to play for the match, then reveal their choice to each other simultaneously. 3, if a single player cannot select a deck because both of their decks contain a banned house, that player immediately forfeits the match and their opponent receives a win. Wow! Okay. Damn. 4, if both players cannot select a house because both of their decks contain a banned house, both players receive a loss for the round. Holy crud! Okay, decks that contain a house banned by either player is a huge limitation, because it means I can't have either of my decks contain the house I ban, and yeah, okay, but as long as I have, even if it's one set, if I have 6 houses, so 3 and 3, and then the one I ban, and my opponent bans one, that'll just restrict me to one of my 2 decks. Okay, alright, okay. Yikes. A little scary, but alright, sure. Quick Forge. Quick Forge is a fast-paced style of gameplay that challenges players to bring decks that consistently forge the first key the fastest. Gameplay rules. Key cheats. When a player plays or uses a key cheat, the card does not cause the player to forge a key, and no keys are considered to be forged for purposes of game effects. All other effects occur according to the resolve as much as you can rule. No key cheats in Quick Forge. None of that shenanigans. Match structure. Quick Forge matches are played as a best of 5 game series. In other words, for the match to be resolved, players continue to play games until one player has won 3 games. That player is declared the winner of the match. Okay. First player to forge a single key wins. Okay. Alright, so you gotta consistently forge the first key. Okay, sure. That probably is fine. I don't think that'll go overtime super often. Alright. Conducting a pack draft. This is the thing we're going to have to pay really close attention to, guys. I'm going to do my very, very best to make sure that we understand everything that's happening here. In a pack draft tournament, players will draft cards from a single Keyforge set over 2 rounds. After drafting is complete, players will use the cards they have drafted to assemble a Keyforge deck consisting of 36 cards from 3 different houses using exactly 12 cards per house. Okay. Pack drafting supports either a group tournament with 4 to 8 players per group or a larger Swiss-style tournament where players are paired in a more traditional tournament structure after the drafting phase. Okay. Tournament overview. Pack drafting tournaments proceed as follows. Draft group is assigned, 5 minutes. Draft is set up, 5 minutes. Drafting phase, just under an hour. Deck construction, 10 minutes. Tournament matches, 45 minutes per round, which is normal. Tournament top cut, if applicable, also 45 minutes per round. Details of step 1 through 4 are draft specific and provided in the following rules explanation. Yeah, let's go through it. Draft group assignment. Okay. A draft group is used to facilitate orderly card drafting and not overload players with too many options. Players are seated in a circle or rectangle, with each player having a distinct person to their left and right. Event staff begin the draft by assigning players to groups. This stage of the tournament is untimed but should ideally be completed in 5 minutes. Groups maintain the following criteria. Players are distributed as evenly as possible across all groups. Groups have a maximum of 8 and a minimum of 4. If the tournament is to be played only within the draft group should be an even number of players. Okay, so if we're not combining all draft groups into a larger tournament and we're only playing it within each group, it should be an even number. If the tournament is to be played within a larger Swiss-style tournament, draft groups do not need to be an even number of players. Example, if there are 28 players, an event organizer should create 2 groups of 8 and 2 groups of 6, rather than 3 groups of 8 and 1 group of 4. This balances the groups so that one of the groups is not excessively small. Okay. All right, I think I understand that. Draft setup. Either designate event staff, a person nominated by the group, or a person hand-selected by event staff will become the draft facilitator. The draft facilitator will be responsible for making the 30-card draft sets that will be utilized during each draft round during the draft phase. If the draft facilitator is a player, they must not look at the cards used during setup. The following procedure is used to create draft sets. Must not look at the cards used during setup. Okay. Step 1. Each player will announce which 4 houses they selected for their house packs. Each player will choose 4 houses. Each house pack is 15 cards. If you've got 4 players, then each player's bringing 60 cards, is 240 cards. But, like, how are these put together? All right, let's keep going. Second, after each player has announced their houses, the facilitator will tally the total number of each house and store this information for the draft phase. Okay, so how many people wanted a given house is tallied. Okay. 3. Each player will select 2 of their 4 house packs without looking at the cards and pass them to the facilitator. Each player will select 2 of their 4 house packs. How did I get my house packs? Announce their 4 houses they selected for their house packs. Okay, so 2 of the 4 that I picked. Okay. 4. The facilitator creates draft sets by dealing 1 card at a time face down from the first house pack into a series of sets equal to the number of players in the group. 4 sets for 4 players. Okay, so they'll take the house pack. House packs are 15 cards. They'll take the house pack. And they'll deal out a number equal to the number of players. Let's say 8. So they'll deal out 8. 7 cards left. Once a house pack is fully dealt during draft sets. Hold on. Dealing 1 card at a time from the house pack into a series of sets equal to the number of players in the group. Okay, we'll keep going. Once a house pack is fully dealt into draft sets, the facilitator will move on to the next house pack, continuing where they left off in the dealing sequence for the sets. Okay. So, I get it. Okay, so if I have 2 Mars house packs, of which there would be 30 cards, and I have 8 players, I'll deal until I've gone through all 30 of those cards into 8 little piles, and then I'll move on to the next house. Okay. 6. Once all house packs have been distributed into draft sets, the facilitator will count each draft set to ensure there are 30 cards in each draft set. Wait. No, my house packs are 12? Wait. Ensure there are 30 cards in each draft set. No, because they're 15. Because I put in 30 cards and everybody else put in 30 cards, and so there'll be 30 cards in each draft set. Okay. Okay. If a discrepancy occurs, the draft facilitator will adjust the cards as needed to make 30 card packs. Any remedy should attempt to maintain proper pack distribution. If any player has an issue with the discrepancy, they may call a judge. 8. The facilitator will create draft sets for the second round of draft by repeating steps 3 through 7. Okay, so then we'll put in our other 2 and do it again. Okay. After the draft sets are complete, the facilitator will give 1 draft set to each player, and the draft phase will commence. Okay. Players will select and take cards from the draft sets during the draft phase. This is a 50-minute timed phase consisting of 2 rounds that begins when the facilitator has handed out the first draft sets. Once the draft phase begins, drafting is performed as follows. All players look at the cards in the draft set assigned to them and select 3 cards from the set. These cards go face down on the table and become part of their card pools. Okay, you draft 3 cards at a time. Players pass the remaining cards to the player on their left if it's round 1, or their right if it's round 2. Reversing direction, common in draft. Players continue to select 3 cards from each subsequent draft set, passing the remaining in the specified direction. Okay, yep, and you'll get 10 chances in each draft phase. Once the last 3 cards of a set have been drafted, the round is over. If players have only completed round 1, the facilitator hands out sets for round 2, and we repeat those steps. If the players have completed round 2, the draft phase is complete, and all players may move to deck construction. A judge should be called if the group was unable to complete all draft selections in the allotted time. Additionally, time may be allotted, or the judge may elect to randomly deal all remaining cards to players. Okay, don't take your time. Draft like we are on a timer, because we are. Additional draft rule phases. Players must follow these additional rules during the draft phase. Players must count the remaining cards in a draft set before passing it to ensure it contains the correct number of remaining cards. Okay. Once a player selects a card from a draft set, the card cannot be returned to the draft set if it has touched the cards in the player's card pool. This in progress selections should be cleanly separated. Okay, yep, fair. Once a player passes a draft set, they cannot take it back or make changes to their drafted cards, even if the cards are still cleanly separated from their card pool. Got it? Players may look at cards they have drafted into their card pool at any time during the draft phase, but in doing so, must not mix cards from the draft set and their card pool. Right? Incorrectly separating cards, returning cards to draft sets, or mixing draft sets and card pools are all considered forms of cheating and may lead to tournament disqualification. Okay. Also, there's a missing S in that. Table talk must remain at a minimum and not reveal any information, that's also a typo, about draft sets or drafted cards. Players should only table talk to reference the current draft state or fix errors in the draft. Okay? Each player should have no more than a single draft set waiting for them beyond the current set they are considering selection from. If a player has already passed one set to the next player and is ready to pass again, they must hold their current set until the player picks up the waiting set. Okay, that's to minimize backlog, but some people take their sweet ass time, and we have a limited time, so we need a method for telling you to pick up the fucking pace and not just sit there holding up the entire draft. Because this always happens in drafts. Draft selections are untimed, but players must make selections at a reasonable pace. Anyone in the group may call a judge to assess slow play if a player is consistently delaying the entire group. Okay. All right. Better take that seriously, because one of the things I absolutely loathe about drafting, and one of the reasons I like Keyforge, and I like that it doesn't have drafting, is that drafting is the slowest, grindiest, most nitpickiest, most annoying, most player v player experience in any card game that I've ever played. It brings out the worst in people on all sides, and I just don't think that's a good thing to bring into a community that so far doesn't have any of that mean, backbitey bitchiness, and this is going to bring that out. So we have to stay on top of it. We have to police ourselves, A. And we have to be willing to police the worst members of our community and the worst traits that we have, B. Because otherwise, this is going to turn into a giant snowball of hurt feelings, mean words, screaming, shouting, and hair pulling. And we just need that to not happen. So, police yourself first and foremost. Be willing to police the people around you, even the ones you like. And be willing to just say, I can't draft because I don't follow procedures, or I cause problems. Honestly, guys, this makes me super nervous. I don't think this is going to... I hope that this can go well. But drafting is one of those things in other card games that I loathe because it brings out the worst in players. It brings out the worst, most competitive, mean-spiritedest things in players. So I'm leery of this in an extreme. But we'll see how it goes. Deck construction. After the draft phase is complete, any remaining time may be used to construct the player's deck. An additional 10 minutes will be allotted specifically for the deck construction phase. Each player will use the 60 cards they have drafted to create a 36-card Keyforge deck. Decks may only contain 3 houses with a maximum of 12 cards in each house. After a player's deck is constructed, the remaining drafted cards are returned to the event organizer or removed from the tournament in a manner specified. Players are required to sleeve their deck after construction in opaque card sleeves. All sleeves within a single deck must be identical in size, color, texture, and condition. Okay. Draft-specific gameplay rules. The following gameplay rules apply to draft-type format regardless of the tournament method used. Blank house cards. Players that were unable to draft a full pot of 12 cards for a house will receive a blank house card with the house indicated in the top left. They will receive 1 blank house card for each card they are short in the house. These cards are considered to be an action card of the house indicated and rules text that states you cannot play this card. Blank cards may be discarded if they match the active house or by the resolution of discard effects. Okay, so they're lame and you don't want them. Got it. Enhance. If a card with an enhance keyword is included in the final deck created by a player, that player will receive special sleeves with a sticker that matches each bonus icon provided by that card. So you don't put it on the card, you put it on the sleeve. Okay. A player must show designated event staff the cards in their deck which provide the bonus icons. That event staff will count out the needed sleeves and provide them to the player. Okay. Each sleeve cannot have more than 1 bonus icon sticker on it unless the player has drafted enough enhanced cards to have more than 36 bonus icons to assign. Damn. In this case, event staff will provide additional stickers for the remaining bonus icons. Okay, so you can only put 1 bonus icon per card. Okay, players will choose which cards will receive which bonus icons by putting cards in the appropriate sleeves. The player may place additional bonus icon stickers, if any, on sleeves as needed, adding no more than 1 additional sticker per sleeve. Okay, got it. So, yeah, you only get 1 enhancement per card. You can't stack a bunch of enhancements together. If a deck is found to have additional bonus icon sleeves or stickers the player is not entitled to, the player should receive a penalty for a rules infraction up to and including tournament disqualification at the discretion of the event organizer. If the player is not disqualified, they must replace their offending sleeves with basic, unstickered sleeves of the same type and condition. Here's my question. Where are these 15 card packs coming from? Because if they're coming from normal Keyforge decks, they'll have enhancement icons on them already. Because we've been doing that for a really long time. Where are these coming from? Are these being specially made by Ghost Galaxy? Is Ghost Galaxy specially designing 15 card packs for this? I doubt it. Where do these come from? Do they just materialize out of the aether? What? Where do these 15 card packs... Do I bring them as a player? Do I bring 4 of these with me? Are they given to me at the tournament? Where do they come from? This document does not say. And it should, because that is a huge component in this, because it determines literally all of the cards that are available for you to draft from. Do I bring them? Are they assembled by Ghost Galaxy? Are they specially printed for this type of format? If they're not specially printed for this type of format, will they occasionally have enhancement stickers or enhancements on them normally? If they already have normal enhancements, do I get to use those extra bonus icons? Oh my goodness, this sounds like a clown car of potential problems. And I don't know, man. It feels like it's not quite... It feels like Keyforge wasn't designed for this. Because it wasn't. I don't know. This makes me nervous. This feels like we're dipping our toe into things that we should not. And that are going to cause problems. And that are going to cause hurt feelings. And that are going to cause people to be at each other's throats. And are going to cause people to be counting things very closely. And I think this is going to take a crud load of judge resources. And doing it on the same day as top 8s, I think this is going to be... If there are no shouting matches during either the drafting phase or the game, none at all, if nobody gets hurt feelings, if nobody ends up storming off in a huff, that will be a miraculous victory for this format. And I don't know, guys. This feels dangerous. This feels like trying to cook toast in the bathtub. Like, maybe we just don't. I get that some people like drafting in other card games, but those card games are built for drafting. This one is not built for drafting, and that opens up a whole other can of worms. A whole other set of potentially really bad things that I just think we could just avoid. We could just not. I might just not. I mean, it's the only thing to do on Sunday other than sealed pods, and maybe I'd do a sealed pod instead. But man, this is a lot of rules and a lot of headache and a lot of things that could go wrong by oopsie or on purpose. And the difference between those two is going to be really hard to tell. I think my opinion is this is a bad idea. And I know some people are really excited about it, but I think my opinion is this is a bad idea that probably is going to go badly. And even if it doesn't go badly, I think it's still going to take up way more judge resources and way more time and way more effort than anybody thinks. Especially at a Vault Tour where you've got lots of people who don't know each other and don't trust each other and aren't close friends playing at the same time. Like, if you're doing this at your LGS and you're like, oh, it doesn't cause any problems there. Yeah, you know each other. You trust each other. You know where Dave lives and you go to his barbecue on the weekends. But if I'm traveling across the country, you don't know me. Even if we see each other at Vault Tours, you don't know me. And that has a relevant effect on things like this. No. And I need to know where these packs come from, because that is wildly unclear in this document and pivotal to this entire process. All right, last thing on drafting, key cheats. No more than one key cheat may be included in a final draft deck, although a player is free to draft as many as they like during the draft phase. If a deck is discovered with multiple key cheats, the player should receive a penalty for a rules infraction up to and including tournament disqualification at the discretion of the event organizer. If the player is not disqualified, they must replace the offending cards with blank house cards as necessary. Guys, that's just another thing to get... Final thoughts. This is a bad idea. We shouldn't do this. Please, let's not do this. We're going to try it out. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe I'm being alarmist for no reason. But drafting is, even in games built for it, drafting is one of the most player versus player experiences in a card game. It sets everyone against each other fundamentally and conceptually. It makes you... all the way down to building your deck. Building your deck is now a competition where you are not just trying to build your own best deck, but trying to screw other people out of their best decks. It's social engineering, and social engineering is bad, and it brings out the worst in people. This is not going to be the fun... I mean, maybe it will be. Maybe I'm being alarmist for no reason, but... drafting brings out the worst in card game players. And it brings out the bad spirits in all of us. And maybe we can avoid that. Maybe Keyforge is a wholesome enough community with nice enough people of a good enough character that this won't be a problem. But I fear deeply, deeply in my heart that one of the reasons that Keyforge has such a nice and wholesome community is because the game itself does not reward bad behavior or overly competitive behavior or backbiting behavior or nitpicking behavior or card counting behavior or all of the other worst behaviors in other card games. This does reward those behaviors, and I worry that it will bring out those bad behaviors even in the nice, wholesome Keyforge community. I really feel like one of the reasons our community is so excellent is because our game does not reward those behaviors. It does not give you reward for being a rules lawyering, nitpicking, card counting, backbiting player. And this format has rewards for being those things. And I think that's gonna be a problem. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. If you disagree, please disagree. I'm okay with that. I can be wrong, and I can be disagreed with, and that is all fine. I'm never going to get butthurt because somebody has a different opinion from mine. But my opinion is, draft scares me, and I think it's going to turn out to be a bad idea. But put your thoughts down in the comments. Tell me what you think. That's all I have for you today. So until next time, later, Archons.